I think the best way for people to protect themselves is to make sure they do the basics. They wash their hands, they cover their coughs and sneezes, they pay special attention to the social distancing messages that we're putting out there.
Wear a mask and practice social distancing to reduce the spread.
Why social distancing is really our best chance to stay safe.
Whether that's avoiding crowds, whether that's staying 6 feet away from people.
As it stands, the general recommendation is if you are 6 feet or more apart from somebody, you are unlikely to see the spread of one person's respiratory droplets to another's.
This includes staying at least 6 feet or about 2 arms lengths away from those around you.
Basically, it all comes down to the 6 feet rule.
Experts recommend people try to stay at least 6 feet away from each other.
But why is 6 feet the optimal distance to keep between yourself and other people?
The droplets travel about 3 to 6 feet before gravity pulls them to the ground. So stay 6 feet away from someone and you stop the spread.
This distance allows any inadvertent spittle to settle on the ground before reaching the other person, reducing the likelihood of asymptomatic transmission.
It's an educated guess as to how far the virus could travel in the air.
Have a good day.
These Parks Department employees are taking to the streets of New York to politely remind people of the need to stay at least 6 feet apart.
A new study shows students can sit a bit closer together without increasing their risk of catching COVID-19. Turns out students who sat 3 feet apart did not have an increased risk of getting COVID-19.
Not 6 feet, but 13 feet. Does that mean social distancing should increase from 6 to something else to more?
No, I think 6 feet is still adequate.
Are all familiar with social distancing, which mandates we stay at least 6 feet apart to try to avoid getting infected or infecting someone else. But is that distance enough?
Especially considering new research out of MIT last week that suggests 6 feet may not even be enough.
But experts now say that's just a general rule of thumb.
If you take off your mask and you have asymptomatic COVID and you're shedding virus, the fact that you're 6 feet apart for the small particles doesn't matter. The 6 feet is just a number that gives a general idea of how far large particles travel. But once you get to small particles that remain airborne, they can travel much further.
So instead of focusing on the numbers, he says people should just keep as much distance as they can.
6 feet of social distancing, was there science behind that?
He said there was not. What he came out and said was this just kind of somehow came out of nowhere, and we just went with it.
From y'all have y'all beautiful picnic, you just have to spread out some more, okay?
Yeah. They're called social distancing ambassadors.
We just want you guys to remember the social distance.
They also hand out face masks.
Would you like a mask?